if you're coming in, come on in and grab a seat. So first I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So the first question is, raise your hand if you have ever killed a plant. Okay, all but one. Okay, so sometimes people don't want to admit this in public, and that's understandable. So it could just be like a plant that was under your supervision slowly ceased to exist. You know, it could be something like that.
I'm a garden hoarder. My family hates me, but I will bring stuff back to life.
She's the magician. She's a magician. She knows how. If you're anything like me, you have killed a few plants in your lifetime. I have definitely killed hundreds. And you're in a very safe place. But you know, I do have 4 kids, and there's something I don't allow them to have, and that is a victim mentality. Do you guys know what a victim mentality is? So someone tell me what a victim mentality is.
It's never my fault.
Yes, when they say it's not my fault, it's your fault, it's my brother's fault, it's my teacher's fault, right? So I'm really big on like owning things when they are our fault. But one of the messages I try to spread about gardening is we should all have a victim mentality, okay? So my kids cannot have one, but you guys, me, all of us absolutely deserve to have a victim mentality, right? And so we're going to all practice a sentence together about these plants that have died in the past, and we're just going to say it together. It's not my fault. Are you ready? It's not my fault. There we go. So there's 3 reasons why plants have died under our care. The first one is the grocery store. You guys know why? Because when you go in the grocery store, it doesn't look at all like Bloomsbury Farm, right? It's not like, oh, this is clearly in season, right? It's like you go in the grocery and there's, my daughter's the worst. Like she wants the star fruit, the dragon fruit, the pineapple, the papaya. And that's in the grocery store at the same time as the cabbages and the broccoli and the cauliflower, right? So every time we go to the grocery store, especially, you know, here in the U.S., if we're not shopping here at the farm stand, then we really have no concept of seasonal food, right? It's just like everything's all available all the time. So that's the number one reason why most of us and most of the people you bump into as you become more and more of a pro gardener, especially as you start to understand what to grow and when in Nashville, most of the people you're going to bump into don't. And that's because of the grocery store. So let's just all say it together. It's not my fault. Okay, it's the grocery store's fault, right? Second reason why it is not your fault is the garden center. And do you guys know why? Because the garden center really isn't worried that much about whether or not you keep your plants alive, right? They just want the plant to leave their store and get to your house. So they're going to make those plants as beautiful, as colorful, as vivacious as possible to convince you that you too could keep this plant alive. But none of us know how they've kept that plant alive, what they've used to sustain that plant. Most likely a little bit of Miracle Grow and, you know, some other synthetic things to get the flowers really bright and beautiful, to get the plant as big as possible, so that we'll spend our hard-earned money and bring it home and watch it slowly die a painful death, right? And so what happens is most people, including all the friends you're going to talk to after you go home from this workshop and you're a pro gardener, they're going to see you and they're going to be like, I don't understand how you have a green thumb, because every plant I buy from Home Depot, I kill it. And you're going to say, I know, but it's not. That's right. You're going to now tell them they can have a victim mentality too. It's not their fault that their plants died. It's Home Depot's fault. It's Lowe's fault, right? Because they took care of these plants in such a way that we don't know how to maintain. So we get them home. We don't use the same synthetic fertilizers. We don't water them the same way. We don't have them in the same sunlight sources. So lo and behold, a week passes, 2 weeks passes, we look down and that beautiful, bright, colorful plant is suddenly brown and yellow and dead, right? So let's all say it together one more time. It's not my fault. Okay, does it feel good? It feels good to me to blame other people. I don't know about y'all. I'm like, oh, this makes sense when my kids do it. The third reason why we've had trouble, we've killed some plants, is called the green thumb myth. You guys know what a green thumb is? Tell me, somebody, what a green thumb is.
Never kills a plant.
Never kills it. She's a green thumb, obviously, yes. A green thumb is someone who's just naturally good at plants, right? So our culture has created this idea around a green thumb that you're either born with it or you're not, right? You're either Harry Potter or you're a muggle, you know? Like you either have the magic and when you bring that plant home from Home Depot, it stays alive, Or you bring that plant home and it dies because it's not, it's not because it's a skill. No, it's not science. It's just magic, right? And that's called a green thumb. So the green thumb myth really fools most of us into thinking we're either in the category or we are not. And 95% of the friends you're going to talk to when you get home and you're a pro gardener, they're going to all say, oh, how did you do that? How did you how are you growing this garden? I could never do that because I don't have a, yes. And you're going to say to them, it's not your fault. That's right. It's not their fault that they believe that they could only garden if they were Harry Potter, right? It's not their fault that they don't realize this is just a skill like anything else. But now you guys are going to know for sure after today, all the plants that have died in your past, the past is in the past. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to let that go. It's not our fault. And now today you guys are going to have all the tools you need, not just to be a successful gardener, but to know what to grow and when to grow it over the fall and winter here in Nashville, Tennessee. Sound good? Okay, so now we're going to move our bodies a little bit. We're going to do a little exercise, not like physical exercise, but we're going to get to know you as the gardener, right? So this is step one in any garden. If you move from here and you go live in Poland, if you have a brand new house or a brand new yard, any place you are, this exercise we're just about to do is going to help you know what to grow in the coming season, okay? So today it's going to work, and 10 years from today, you can use this exact same exercise, and you'll be like, oh, now I know what I'm supposed to grow this next season. Sound good? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions. There are only 3 answers, and there's no wrong or right answer. It's just what's your answer, okay? So your answer is going to be a good one, no matter what it is. So the answers are going to be this: 1, 2, or 3. You guys got it? Let's say it together. 1, 2, or 3. That's right. So when I ask you a question, number 1, if 1 is your answer, you're going to go over here. You're going to stand by the food. You have to eat a radish. That's your punishment for being a 1. I'm just kidding. Okay, so that's the 1, all right? If your answer is a number 2, you're going to come stand right here. I believe this is kohlrabi. You'll have to stand right by the kohlrabi. That's your punishment. You might have to bend down and smell it. And if you're a 3, you're going to go to the bok choy. Pretty sure that's bok choy. It's so pretty, isn't it? They must know what they're doing out here or something. Okay, so 1s, 2s, 3s. We have 4 questions to answer. There's no right or wrong answer. Your job at the end is to take the average of your answers. Do you guys know how to do an average? Yes, so we're going to add up our 4 numbers, divide it by 4. Sweat again. Sound good? Okay, so the first question that I've got to ask you is, how much experience do you have in the garden? 1 is you haven't really gardened much before, okay? Less than a year, okay? That's going to be there. 2s is going to be 1 to 3 seasons. 3s is going to be 3 and up. Got it? 1, 2, 3. How many seasons, how much time have you spent in the garden? 1, less than a year. 1 to 3 here, 3 plus there. All right, and we have to move physically because this is going to give us all a really good picture of the class we have here. All right, I'm checking you out. All right, the 2s, right by the kohlrabi. Love it. Wow, oh, this is awesome. We have a really good dispersion here. So 1s, 2s, and 3s. Awesome. Okay, very, very good. So everybody got their number in their head? You adding it up? Okay. The next question is, in your current space where you're going to be gardening for the next 3-5 months, how much sun do you have in your space? Okay, where you're going to be growing food, how much sun? So 1s are going to be 2 to 4 hours of sun a day. 2s are 4 to 6 hours of sun a day. And 3s are 6+ hours of sun a day. Got it? 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 and up. Will you film with my phone? Yeah, just like move it around more so it's not so static. All right.
Depends on where in the yard.
Yeah, so the place where you're going to be gardening, wherever it is, it could be. Okay, so pick the sunniest. Pick the sunniest spot. All right, I love it. You're not alone there, okay? I'm with you in spirit. I got you. All right, we got 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 up plus. Got it? Are y'all adding your numbers up? Following along? Okay, awesome. Next, see, do y'all see how I did this? I put y'all in the sun. This was so smart. I just realized how strategic this was. Okay, so next question is, how much space do you have? How much space, all right? So over here we're going for about under 16 square feet. So a 4x4 bed, that's 16 square feet. Here in the middle is going to be like 16 square feet to like 50 square feet. And then over here is going to be 50 and up. So for reference, this bed right here is like 32 square feet. So this is 32, 64, what's the next number? 96. This is like 96 square feet. So this would be a threer, and then just one of these beds would be a twoer, and then like half of that bed would be a oneer. Got it? Are y'all having fun yet? A lot of threes. Are you guys ready to grow so much food? So awesome. Are y'all ready? I love the twos. And the ones, don't worry, you have my favorite thing to grow. So don't you worry, okay? All right, you got your number? Are we at 3 questions right now? Okay, all right, so we got one more question. And can you guess what it is? Guess. Anyway, what would be another important question for me to ask you guys? You are so good. How much time, not how long you want to wait to get your food, but how much time, and here's the key question, will, not can, okay? How much time will you spend in the garden a week, okay? 15 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour plus. So weekly time, not can, but will. A week. A lot of people, last time I did this, they said, oh, I can do more than 15 minutes a week. And I said, but will you? And then he went back. Okay, so you guys got it? I love it. All right, so we got the ones, the twos, and the threes. Everybody feel good? Yes. Okay, so tell me, as you go back to your seat, you guys can yell it. You're going to take that total number, and you're going to divide it by 4. We don't have to do decimals here, okay? So just give me like a rounded number, all right? So y'all can head back to your seats. I'll go back in the sun for you guys.
So the first number, like, are you talking, like, if we get different numbers of sun, spring versus summer versus fall, are you talking about for fall, right?
You got it. Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And you came back.
I did.
Thanks
you
for
recognize
coming.
me?
You look awesome. I love your dress. Okay, you guys, tell me your numbers. Anybody have one? 2? 3? What other? 3? 2.8. Okay, we're going to round up to 3. 2.5. Okay. Round up. Yeah, 3. Okay. 1. I love it. Own the 1. You got my favorite. You got my favorite thing to grow. Are you a 1 too? Oh, 2. Okay. All right. So if you're a 1, raise your hand and go like this. Woo! If you're 2, raise your hand and go like this. 2s. And if you're 3, raise your hand and go like this. 3s. Okay, we have got like a wide range here. Lots of 3s. That's surprising to me. Last time I did this, tons of 2s. Okay, so now you know where you are as a gardener. This is an exercise you should do every season. Okay, so I want to see videos of y'all in your yard going to 3 spots. So I need a DM next spring, and I want to see you going 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm serious, all right? And then I want to know your score. Because the reality is our yards change, the light in our yards change every single season, and the amount of time we have to give the garden changes every season, right? And so knowing this and owning this about ourselves every single time is going to cause you a lot less frustration in the garden and make it so much more fun. And so there's something awesome to grow at 1, 2, and 3. And so there's always fun to be had. There's always something delicious to have in the garden. It's just a matter of owning exactly where we are in the season. Sound good? All right, that's step 1. Step number 2, now that we know ourselves, now we're going to get to know plants, all right? So we have so many wonderful displays from Bloomsbury Farm, do we not? So we're going to take this little plant here, this kohlrabi, and y'all are going to teach me the stages of plant growth, okay? So when a plant is first starting to grow, in its first, say, 20 to 30 days, what's the first thing that a plant grows? First thing that pops out of the soil? Yes, initial leaves, and then just more and more what? Leaves, right? Leaves and stems, leaves and stems, leaves and stems. So when a plant first, when a seed first goes into the ground, it's so amazing. This thing has everything it needs to become a fully alive plant being. And it's just in this little pebble thing that you think is like dead, but it's alive. It's crazy, right? So it goes into the ground. You don't even know what's happening under there, okay? Like you can't even see it, and it is turning into a plant. It's amazing. So it creates this little root and this little shoot, and the first thing that we see is a leaf, right? 2 little leaves. I don't know if it's called the cotyledon or cotyledon or cotyledon.
Cotyledon, but I don't know.
Yes. So you're teaching next time, okay? Cotyledon, she says. So that's what it is. It's the first, that's like the food leaf, right? And then it produces the true leaf. So the cool thing to know, you guys, most of our food plants have a 90-day life cycle. That's why I love kitchen gardening, because it is so much more interesting than every other kind of garden, right? Like if you're growing boxwoods, you're gonna go out there and like 9 months from now, it's gonna look this much bigger, you know what I'm saying? But if you're growing food plants, you're gonna like wake up, go out to the garden, do your stuff during the day, come back out for 3 minutes, and it's bigger. It's not, I'm not kidding. Like I'm not even exaggerating. It changes every single day because its life cycle is 90 days. It's like a butterfly versus an elephant. You know what I mean? So the kitchen garden is like a bazillion butterflies, and they're living this full life cycle every 90 days. So the first 30 days of its life is leaves. Leaves and stems, leaves and stems, leaves and stems. Why would a plant want to make so many leaves and stems? Yes, it makes food. So every little leaf is going to photosynthesize. So while we're sitting here sweating, wanting to go inside to the AC, these leaves are so happy, right? Because they're like absorbing the sun, and they are literally little food factories right now. They're just turning all of this stuff, all of this sunlight, the air, the water, the soil nutrients, they're turning it into food. Is that so cool? It's so amazing, y'all. Plants are the coolest thing. So they're turning this into food, and they're gonna do this for 30 days. So that means for the first 30 days of a plant's life, leaves is what you can expect. And most of the things we grow in the cool season and the cold season in Nashville are leaves. And there's so many that are edible at the leaf stage. So you have in your booklet, starting in October, I have plants listed for you. And you're gonna see in October, in November, in December, in January, and in February, and in March, and even in April, there are a gazillion kinds of leaves that we all can grow. This is step 1. So raise your hand if you were a 1. Own it, yes! Congratulations, you have the easiest thing to grow, the most prolific thing to grow, and you're gonna have so much of it because it doesn't care if you don't have a lot of sun, it doesn't care if you don't have a lot of space, and the only thing you need to make time for is to cut it and eat it. Is that amazing? That's my kind of plant. Yes, so even if you're a level 3 gardener, even if you are at the 3, you should especially pay attention to the 1s because leaves are so, so good for you. They're so nutritious, and in Nashville, you can grow these all winter long. So right now is a season when we should all be preparing to plant. So you see what Bloomsbury has. They've got spinach, they've got mizuna, they've got arugula, they've got kohlrabi, they've got beets, they've got bok choy. These are all perfect examples of greens that we can be growing right now, all the way, you guys, until April. That's so cool. We live in the coolest place. I mean, most places are either too cold or too hot. We get to put this in the ground now, and we'll have a couple of really hard frosts that might kill off maybe like the sweet lettuces, something like that. But the spinach, the arugula, the kohlrabi, the bok choy, they don't mind. They don't mind. Especially the more Savoy, that word means bumpy, the more bumpy the leaves are, the more resilient they are toward frost and cold. All right? So that's level 1 is leaves. Plants produce leaves first, and they're gonna keep producing leaves until they're done because that's how they make their food. They love making leaves, and we love that they love it because we get to eat a ton of harvest from the leaves, all right? So that's level 1, sound good? Yeah. All right, so if you were a 1, you just met your, that's your partner. You're gonna grow leaves, and you're gonna love it, all right? And the cool thing is, if you were a 2 or a 3, guess what? You get to do it too. It's pretty awesome, right? So we're all going to do leaves no matter what. Raise your right hand. I will grow leaves this fall and winter. Yes, we will. One of our missions at Gardenary is to get everyone growing greens. When I first started gardening, that's how I learned to garden, was growing salad. And I was living in Houston at the time, and we planted greens in October and harvested till April. And we were new to Houston, so I figured everyone knew to do this, right? And so I would like go meet my friends. I'm like, here, you want some free mix? Have you ever tasted lettuce like this? It's amazing. It's delicious. Will you babysit my kids? And I was just using it, you know, like a barter and a trade. And people are looking at me weird, and I'm like, y'all, it's like lettuce that's good. Like, you're gonna want to eat this kind of lettuce. And they're just looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, and then I go to the grocery store with my kids, you know, I'm buying groceries, and I'm looking, I'm like, this salad is from California. Like, every single green in the entire produce aisle in Houston, Texas, is from Salinas Valley, California. And I'm like, but I have like rows and rows and rows of lettuce in my little backyard. And we were just like growing on the side of the driveway. And that's why I'm here right now. Because I was like, this has to change. So all of you guys, you've now been crowned, okay, advocates of growing greens at home. And you too are now commissioned to make little bags of greens. Go bring them to your friends. Use it to barter and trade and bribe. Let everybody take, the first one's free, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna give the first little taste of homegrown salad free, then it's not free anymore, okay? Then they have to pay. You know, they have to like clean your house or something. Okay, so that's level 1. Level 2, so as the plants grow, we know they do the root and the shoot first, right? The roots are actually growing in level 1 too, obviously. The plant needs to like feel some security there. But in the next 30 days of that plant's life, this is when it's going to direct most of its attention where? Down, right? It's going to start really pushing down into the earth and settling itself. It's got to go to 90 days to finish its life cycle. So it wants to make sure that everything is secure. So this is when they're going to use all this energy. Oh, aren't y'all glad we got cloud cover? This is so much better. We should have started this at 4:45. Okay, so as soon as that happens, right, as soon as the plant really gets settled and is growing all these leaves, then it's going to start producing really deep roots. And it's doing this because it's storing its nutrition, it's storing the food and the water to prepare itself for its third stage, which we'll get to in a second, right? So this is a time when we can start to harvest roots. Now for the leaves, these leaves really don't require a ton of sun, right? They're the 2 to 4 hours of sunlight a day. But the roots, they're gonna need more sun. They're gonna need more like 4 to 6 hours of sunlight a day. So let's name some root crops together. You can use your cheat book if you want to. Carrots, that's right. Beets, radishes, turnips, yep. Parsnips, that's like the most expensive root to grow. Did you know that? Most valuable. Takes a long time too. Any others? I think fennel is maybe considered, maybe rootish, sort of. Ginger, okay, so that's moving us into bulbs and tubers, exactly. So we got ginger. What other bulbs and tubers are there? Garlic, yes. What else? Onions, yeah. Leeks. Oh, you're getting fancy on me here. Okay, I love it. Salsify. Yep, potatoes are tubers as well. So now we're going to roots. So the cool thing that happens in fall and winter, there are root crops that you want to put in spring, but most root crops like cold weather. If you think about in nature, what happens if like a human doesn't mess it up, you know what I'm saying? If a human doesn't screw things up, then what happens is this plant grows up, the greens do their thing, right? And then the greens die back when the frost and the cold come, but what stays underground just kind of like a fossilized, right? All those bulbs, tubers, roots just kind of sit there. Then as soon as the ground starts to thaw again, it's like, ooh, I'm ready, and they come back to life. And so most bulbs, tubers, and roots don't mind cold weather. Even if there's frost, even if it freezes, they're just kind of hang out and wait for us, wait for the sun to come back out. It's pretty cool, right? So, so roots, beets, and carrots, these are the simplest ones to grow. You're gonna plant these by seed in the garden. They do need a spot that's gonna be at least 6 hours of sunlight a day, and they're gonna need a little bit more space. So I crowd, if you follow me, you know, I like to crowd my plants. So this is too much space for me. I like this style, you know what I'm saying? So I do this with my leaves, but with your root crops, you want to give them more space. So I like to use the finger rule. Everyone hold up their fingers. All right, so 2 fingers. Is this like a cool thing for like a movie or something? I don't know. Okay, I have zero pop culture knowledge. Okay, I've been spending the last decade of my life learning plants, so don't come for me. Okay, radishes. Everybody say radishes. Carrots. Beets. You got it. So that's your spacing: radishes, carrots, and beets. All right, so like they're gonna need more. When I plant my lettuces, it's like lettuce, 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 lettuce. This is lettuces, okay? Everyone gets one. But if I'm doing root crops, this is radishes, carrots, and beets. Got it? Then if we're doing bulbs for like a garlic or onion, you're gonna go garlic and then onion. So like full hand for the onion, 4 for the garlic. Got it? Okay, so garlic and onion, those can go in the ground now, starting especially in October, and those are just going to sit there all the way until March, when they're going to give you a little green, and then they're really going to take off in April, May, and they're ready to harvest in the summer. But you can get greens from them, right? Because you can always have number 1, which is leaves. So it's so fun once you kind of open your mindset to the beauty of leaves. You're going to realize they're like on every single plant. It's like a little gift that just keeps giving. So even for onions and garlic, there are these greens that we can harvest and enjoy as we wait for the bulbs and the tubers and all that to be ready to harvest. So right now we can do carrots, beets, and radishes by seed. We can also do onions and garlic. You can do those by with garlic, I would highly recommend starting with cloves. So you just take that whole bulb of garlic, break it into cloves, and plant 1 clove at a time, giving it this much space, right? 4 fingers. Those are going to sit there, but are the ones we plant by seed, we can have those and enjoy those in the next 60 days, right? So we want to think of leaves every 30 days, and we want to think of roots every 60 days. So if you plant carrots and beets and radishes tomorrow, which you guys are all going to do clearly because you came today, right? So if you plant these tomorrow morning, is tomorrow September still? I think it is, right? So we'll go for Sunday. Y'all have a day to rest, okay? Sunday, you're going to plant all these on October 1st because you're so cool like that. And then on December 1st, you'll be harvesting carrots. Little baby carrots probably, but you could harvest carrots. Radishes will be even sooner than that at like the 45-day mark, okay? So that's the roots. So if you were to raise your hand, some, 2s, yes, so you just got your whole planting plan right here, all right? So you're gonna do radishes, carrots, beets, you can do garlic and onions, plus you can do all the greens. So arugula, spring mix, spinach, kale, bok choy, all that too, all right? So if you are 2, you get to do the 2s and the 1s. Got it? Okay, so now we're moving on to 3s, right? So we got the first 30 days is for lettuce, for leaves. The second 30 days is for roots. And then what does a plant move to do in its last 30 days of its life? What? That's right, it goes to make fruit. So all plants want to reproduce, and they want to reproduce like crazy, you guys. Like, here's the cool thing to know, right? The plants that die under our care, it's not your fault. I told you that, right? But also, like, the plant actually wanted to live. Like, plants literally are like dying to live. I learned this from watching acorns fall from the oak trees at the Ag Center back when all my kids were little. We would play under the trees. I was just starting to garden. And to keep them busy and not fighting, I would have them collect acorns. It's genius, right? We brought buckets to the Ag Center and they would just pick up acorns. It was awesome. And we're doing this and I'm looking, I'm like, this is from one tree. You know, it's like hundreds and hundreds of acorns under this one tree. We had just started to garden at the time and we were not gardening. We were failing big time, right? And so I'm watching this oak tree drop all these acorns. I'm like, this thing is like desperate to keep its kind going, right? Like, it didn't just like shoot its shot. Like, it shot like a million shots, you know? And that's when I started to realize like how plants all work. They all have the same system. And if you start to pay attention, you realize every single plant doesn't just produce like 10 seeds. No, it produces hundreds, thousands of seeds. Like, it is desperate to have its kind spread and keep going. And so the more you can kind of come into believing that your plant actually wants to stay alive, you don't feel like it's a fight as much, right? You can look at it and be like, I know you want to make it, right? Like, you're gonna do it. I know you want to, and I'm gonna help you, you know? So that's what's happening in the last 30 days of the plant's life. The plant is on, all that it's thinking about is, I will continue, I will live on, I will come back this time next year, right? And the way that it's going to do that is by making flowers, and then most plants will make fruit. Now, our greens that we're going to grow, they're not going to fruit. They're just going to make flowers that will contain hundreds and hundreds of seeds. And then the root crops, I'm double checking. Yeah, none of them fruit either. They all just flower and have seeds that way. But there are a couple of plants in the cool and the cold season that make fruit. You guys know of any or think of any? It's kind of like, we would never call them fruit. What? Yes, peas. So legumes are our main source of fruit for the cool and cold season. So fava beans, sugar snap peas, snow peas, all of those are our source of fruit during the cool and the cold. So these are all frost tolerant or frost hardy, and they're gonna go through the same 3 processes, right? So their first 30 days, they're gonna make a ton of leaves. So they're just gonna be climbing, and you're like, are you ever gonna give me a pea? And they're like, no, leaves first, right? And then they're gonna set their roots in pretty nice and deep. And then by the 70th day, the 75th day, 80, 85, 90, you're finally going to start to see peas. And those peas hold seeds, right? And that's so that they didn't make those for us to eat them. But it's okay, we get to have some too, right? So that's gonna be at the 90-day mark. So for all of you guys who raised your hands and you're a 3, raise your hand again. All right, so that's going to be your layout. That's your garden plan. You now have leaves on the bottom, right? So you've got these leaves. You can plant them and replant them every 30 days if you want to. Plant, harvest, 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 start again. Then you're going to have your root crops, maybe more in the middle. You're going to have carrots and radishes all working, doing their thing underground. You can't see it. You're crossing your fingers that you have the Harry Potter magic and they're turning into roots under there, right? And that's your 60-day. And then up in the middle, if you know, like gardenary style, you're gonna have a trellis. You can either have a panel trellis or an obelisk trellis, and you're gonna have peas all going up the top of that trellis, and they're just making their way up. So imagine it 30 days, you're harvesting all these leaves and the peas are about here, right? 60 days, you're harvesting your radishes, some baby carrots, and the peas are about here. And then 90 days, your lettuces, you kind of have to start over again with them. They're getting a little tired. You maybe are finally starting to get some more mature carrots, maybe did a second round with radishes, and then finally they hit the top of that trellis and they have fruit on them for you. So they've got some peas. So at the end of 90 days, which is right around Christmas time, if all goes well and the garden fairies all smile upon us, for Christmas Day, we will not be eating, I don't know what people typically eat on Christmas Day. Steak, ham, I don't know. You guys are gonna have a salad, okay? So you're gonna be like, kids, mom and dad, for Christmas, Santa Claus brought us a really big salad, okay? So you're gonna walk out to your garden, you're gonna grab all the lettuces, the arugula, the kale, all those bumpy greens. They're gonna have held their own through the frost. Then you're gonna pull these really beautiful beets. They're gonna be the perfect colors of Christmas, right? Carrots and radishes. And then you're gonna top off your salad with some peas right on top. And they're just gonna bring it and be like, I'm so sorry I didn't get you anything for Christmas. I've been gardening the last 90 days. I didn't have time to shop, right? No, just kidding. You can buy some stuff too. But so that's the plan. That's the way the garden works in Nashville in the fall and the winter. So we are going to have some times when it's going to drop down, right? Where it's going to be under 32. We're going to have some hard frost that happened to us in December and in January of last year. So when that happens, you have a couple of choices. One, you can cover everything. And so if you cover, you want to make sure that you're using a thick material, usually like even a plastic is best. You don't want to keep that on your plants for a long period of time, but for a short period of time, it works. So like we had last year, we would have this really deep overnight dip, and then it would come back up in the day. If it's coming back up above 32 that next day, I think it's totally worth wrapping your plants because it's literally going to drop and then it's going to go back up and stay up. And so if we lose our plants during that one night, it just stinks because it was for nothing, right? Whereas in Chicago, I can speak from experience, when it drops and it's staying dropped. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, I'm not going outside for the next 3 months. But here is not like that. We have little drops and then it goes back up. And so if you see that in the forecast where there's a little drop, but it's going to rise again, it's totally worth covering overnight, or even overnight, pull it up, do it again the next night. So the times to watch is when it drops under 30 and it stays there for 6 to 8 hours. That's the times to make sure that your garden is covered with plastic. Well, and if it's lighter than that, you can do just like a little frost cloth, something that's like a fleece that will help protect. When we get into a time, let's say we just have a crazy time like we did last year where it was like 20s for days, then usually for me what I did is I just started over. It was like too much to maintain and to keep everything. Now a farm like this, they're going to cover and probably, keep almost all their things going. But for me, it was like everything is kind of spent anyway. I'd already had about 90 days with those plants. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start fresh anyway, come like mid-January. And so I just let it all die. I pulled it up like January 2nd, and then I replanted for the spring. Now the things like the garlic and the onions, they were fine, right? They just kind of stayed. And even carrots and radishes, they stayed. I did wrap some of my peas around my trellis with a sheet. Actually, my mom did it. She was like, we can't lose these peas. So she wrapped them with a sheet and they survived. Like we pulled it off and they kept going once the weather warmed. A bed sheet. We are high class with my garden, okay? We just use a bed sheet. But in January, really, I started fresh, and here's the cool thing. We literally get like 2 full cool seasons here. So we've got now October till New Year's, and then we get it again January to the end of March. So we get to do this twice. So like not only do your kids and family not get Christmas presents, they also don't get like Easter presents, right? So it'll be like right around the end of March and you're like, it's a salad again, I did it for you one more time because you loved it so much. So that's the way it works. That is literally that's the system. So it's 1, 2, 3, all about you, right? How much space, how much sun, how much time, and how much experience you have. And then you match that with plants, with leaves, roots, and fruit. And if you're a 3, you can enjoy all 3 stages. If you're a 2, you get to do 1 and 2. You can press your luck on a 3 and you might get some. But I think the power is coming in knowing that you don't have the setup for a 3, so that we don't feel like it was our fault, right? Because let's say it again together, it's not my fault. So you don't want to plant peas thinking when you're a 2 and like feeling like you're a 3. So then the ones, you can also do all 3 if you want to, but you just do it knowing like this is a gamble. Like I'm just saying, I'm experimenting, right? I've always planted all the things because I love experiments. I love to like test the limits. So feel free today, if you like identified yourself as a 1, but you're like, I really want to be a 3, like go for it, okay? Like test, experiment, have fun. Gardening is not about rules. Gardening is more about art. It's more of an art than it is a science, and it's more about the fun and the experience than the rules. So that is the fall and the winter garden in Nashville, Tennessee. What do you guys think? Are you excited? All right. Thank you guys so much. Y'all were such a fun crowd.